Hi, my name is Ruth and today we're going to be repotting an indoor plant into a wicking cube. The materials you'll need today are gloves, steel cap boots, your indoor plant, wicking media, perlite, wicking cell, geofabric, wicking valve, a shifter, and the wicking cube. First thing we're going to do is install the valve in the bottom of the planter. So this is the valve. You want these nodules to stick up. Then the rubber washer goes on the outside. Hand tighten it while you hold it upright on the inside. Then pick up the wicking tube and just drop it into the planter. And it'll align with the overflow valve and lock into place. We're not using the infill pipe today because it will get in the way of the root ball of my indoor plant. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is put the perlite into the feet of the wicking planter. I'm going to wear a mask while I'm doing this because it can be dusty and you don't want to breathe in the dust. I don't have an N95 mask, but that would be a better one to wear. You can also just cut the very corner off the bag so that you can easily pour it into the feet. The bag, which comes with the wicking cube, holds just enough perlite to fill in the feet. Be careful when you pour it in that it doesn't spill all over the top of the planter. So it should only be in the feet of the wicking cell. After that's done, grab your geofabric and place it on top, making sure that there's no gaps that soil can fall down. Then while you go on to the next step, you might want to put a few handfuls of wicking growing media into the planter to hold the geofabric from blowing around. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is get our fig ready for transplanting. So I am going to take off the growing stake. And you can see that after I've done this, the fig is actually self-supporting. So after you take off the ties, just slide the stake out. You might find that the stake is really hard to get out. And if so, just cut it off at the base. Okay, you'll see that this ficus or fig is actually self-supporting. This means that I don't need to put another stake in it. Now, to get indoor plants out of their pot, you'll often have to squeeze the pot. So gently put the plant on its side and push down on the root ball. Rotate the pot around again and do it again until you feel the plant beginning to get loose. Then hold at the very base of the plant, tip it on its side and slide it out. Here we have our ficus, and next I'll show you a little bit about the root system. So here you'll be able to see the root ball of the plants, and you'll see that in this particular plant we have lots of orange roots, and we also have some white or lighter coloured roots. These lighter coloured roots are the roots that actively absorb nutrients and water, whereas these older roots are beginning to lose that ability. Now when I rotate the root ball around, you'll see that generally most of the roots are going down, but some of the roots have begun to circulate. And what we want to do so that they grow into the new growing media is just gently tease around the bottom of the root ball on all sides, and gently, very gently, begin to loosen up these other roots without breaking them so that they can grow more easily into the new growing media. And we do this the whole way around the root ball. Then we've got these more substantial roots around the top, and we're going to gently try and tease them out. Now this is a fig, and figs are okay with a fair amount of root disturbance. And you can see that once I do that, you can really quite gently pull them out so they're no longer circling around the top. Okay, and here you go. I'm reasonably happy with this now, and I think it's ready for us to lift it into the wicking cube. So when it's in the wicking cube, you want to make sure that you're happy with the position of the stem and it's central. You also want to make sure that the root ball level is below the top of the wicking cube. So probably 4 centimeters or 40 millimeters is perfect. Definitely no higher than 10 millimeters though. So once you're happy with that, you'll try and get the root ball sort of level, and then you can begin backfilling around the root ball. So now we just put handfuls of the media into the wicking cube, making sure that we keep the geofabric up against the side of the wicking cube and don't allow soil to fall down behind it. Just use your fingers to firm down the growing media between each handful. So after you've filled up the wicking cube, the soil surrounding the root ball and the root ball will be the same level. And now it's a good idea to move it back into position if it's going inside before you fill it, because once you fill it, this will probably weigh about 40 kilos and you'll need 2 people to lift it. However, I'm going to fill it outside so that I can show you how to tell when it is full. So if you're doing this outside, you can fill it up, and when it gets full, this little valve here begins to dribble out. If you're doing this inside, grab one of these, a Tupperware container, and just put it underneath the valve to catch any excess water. Then grab your watering can or your hose, turn it down onto a gentle shower head setting, and begin to water. Every now and then just stop to make sure that it's not full. It will take quite a lot of water, probably a good sort of 30 litres or so you might be watering for 3 or 4 minutes. You might find that as you water, the root ball begins to become exposed because the growing media settles. That's fine, just top it up with a little bit more growing media. You'll find that when it's full, it begins to leak out of the valve. And if you do this inside, you'll need to make sure your Tupperware container is catching it. Also, each time you water indoors, you'll need to put your container underneath this valve. I find it's a really good idea to leave it there for 24 hours after you fill up, just because sometimes it takes a little bit of time for the water to work its way through the growing media. You'll see after a few hours that the overflow is now just beginning to drip. The other thing I'm going to do is just check all the leaves to make sure that there is no aphids or scale on the plant. And if there is, I'll treat it. When I move this planter back inside, I'll cover the top of the growing media with some black pebbles to dress it up a bit.